What looks easy peasy lemon squeezy, but is actually difficult lemon difficult? Story 1. Drawing something from memory, like a bird or something, reminds me of the bicycle challenge. Go draw a bicycle from memory right now. Just take a pencil and paper or open Paint at this very moment and draw with your mouse. Turns out everyone knows what a bicycle looks like, but almost nobody can draw it correctly without looking it up before. Well, everybody gets too caught up trying to draw the mechanical bits, but you don't really need them to convince your audience that it's a bike. Forget all the noise, just draw 2 pizzas, cheese no toppings, preferably thin crust with garlic seasoning, and a line above one of them, and you got a freaking bicycle. Source: a drunk artist. You'd have to be a really good artist to draw garlic seasoning on a pizza. That or a really drunk artist. Story 2. Maintaining friendships from high school or college after you graduate. People get so busy with work and starting their own families that friendships get put on the back burner. You stop talking to someone for a few months, then it suddenly hits that you're no longer friends with the person. Reach back out though. Everyone understands, and I've rekindled and kept in touch intermittently with so many amazing people. Yes, we're not best friends who talk every day, but if stuff went down, I could give them a call and vice versa. And when we do get together, it's a great time. Your good friends will understand that life happens. Text them on birthdays, see them once or twice a year. People with kids gravitate to other people with kids, and us childless adults generally stick with each other. People grow up and move on, but your true friends will reach out because they miss you. I find being cool with their kids, dealing with them as if they were family, extremely helpful in maintaining healthy relationships with friends that have them. Forget that first year after the kid is born. Your friends just aren't in the place to hang out or do anything else. But after that, start having dinner parties at home instead of going out. Have them starting mid-afternoon instead of 8 p.m. so the parents can leave when the kids hit that point in time when a schedule needs to be met. And everyone is happy. You're happy because you keep in touch with your friends. They're happy to have a beer with their mates, especially when they are crawling up the walls, stuck in a world basically ruled by kids. Getting older, it's definitely harder to maintain friendships, but what I've found to be even harder, and I think a lot of guys especially find this, is starting new friendships. I feel like dudes just get more insular and isolated as they get older. Not good if you ask me. Story 3. Beekeeping. You see videos of these old dudes in their veils and beekeeping suits and it makes it seem so relaxing and easy. Turns out that bees aren't so good at finding enough food on their own and they can just get sick really easily, and in the winter they can mold. Have you ever seen moldy bees? Sometimes they're not even dead. It's still worth it though. The biggest problem is varroa mites. If you're a beekeeper anywhere but Australia, your bees do have mites. The only question is, how many? I hear about too many well-meaning people who want to save the bees but don't want to put evil chemicals into their hives, and then the mites and the viruses they carry kill the bees their first winter. Make no mistake, if you don't actively manage your bees, they will die, and before they do, they will make a last-ditch effort at survival by abandoning their disease-infested hive and flying away, frequently into somebody else's hive, and massively infecting their bees too late in the season to do anything about it. I had a friend who lost a hive that way. My parents are also hobbyist beekeepers, and listening to them talk about the mites is fascinating. They are also helping to breed a new type of queen that is supposed to be able to breed worker bees that can sense the mites in the brood and destroy that brood cell before the mites hatch. I think they're Purdue queens, and the science behind it is insanely cool. I think beekeeping is an amazing hobby, but one that I have absolutely zero interest in. I find it incredible that some people, even if they aren't at all allergic to them, can go running, screaming down the street from a bee, and some make them their entire lives. Story 4. I use a wheelchair, and people usually don't believe me when I say that getting around can be difficult because many of them think that pushing a wheelchair is easy. They literally tell me this. The thing is, when you use a wheelchair all day and it is basically your only means of transportation, it looks more natural. This becomes a problem when I point out accessibility problems. They often don't believe me because they see how I can navigate and assume it's easy, just because I make it look easy. My dad was in a wheelchair most of his life and he made it look super easy most of the time. Buff arms, and did not like to get pushed anywhere. But I also remember places with small ledges that were hard for him. and an apartment I once lived in where he could never come inside because it was a full flight of stairs up with no elevator. Getting around for him obviously took a lot of work. To this day, I'm still pissed to see someone without a plate or placard parking in a handicapped spot. I had a college assignment to go 2 hours outside of my home with a disability. I didn't think it was easy to get around in a wheelchair, but I had no idea. Even the little strip of metal on the ground at the doors into the store can make it difficult. I also didn't realize you can't see the signs in the middle of the big round clothing racks. There are probably so many more things that I don't even know. Yeah, you never know what it's like to live with a disability until you have one, or just spend some time with someone who does. Just try bringing someone in a wheelchair to buy groceries sometime. It is a lot of work for the caregiver as well. People need to consider these things. Story 5. Finding a career you'll want to go to every day that won't crush your soul. Remember when you were young and teachers told you that you could be whatever you wanted to be? Yeah, not so realistic when you want to pay the bills and maybe have a little beer money too. I didn't go to college and struggle with the thought of not being able to have a lateral career move without a degree, but then I see my friends absolutely floundering with their student loan payments and think maybe I don't have it so bad after all. All the feels for this. I only wish I hadn't bought into the college is the only way to go mentality. By 21, my life goal was to not be miserable, and everyone assumed I was depressed as hell, but what I meant is finding some sort of career where I didn't want to blow my head off just having to show up to work every day. One of the things I sincerely wish I had discovered earlier was that college doesn't guarantee that path. Took me 4 tries for a proper degree and another try at a tech school to discover what makes me happy is farming. Like, literally, I was gifted a dozen chickens and was like, this simple life. Digging in the dirt and raising animals, and it's hard, and so far I still struggle with the beer money, but I'm happy, and I love my damn birds so much. I just wish I would have found this before I took out $10,000 in student loans, which I know is a small amount by comparison, but still hangs over my head. I went to college, grad school, got a PhD, and worked in a senior role at a highly coveted company. I still don't feel happy. The one thing I've learned after all these years is that happiness is not defined by title or company affiliation or number of letters after your name. My resume won't be on my tombstone, but in many ways I'm stuck because of the responsibilities I have now and all of the people in my family and my profession I'm accountable to. I feel like I'll always be in the pursuit of happiness, rather than enjoying the moment I'm living in. The thing about more success and more money is there will always be more problems and more responsibilities that come with it. It's always a trade-off, and success never guarantees happiness. There's a lot of miserable millionaires out there. Story 6. Socializing with people, I have severe social anxiety and even small interactions with strangers, and even some people I've known for a while are really hard for me. I don't hate people or dislike being around them, but I'm just awful at keeping conversations going or initiating them. Outgoing people make it look very easy. For me, it is not. Conversation is like any other skill. You have to practice to get better. I started out by practicing in low-stakes situations. For example, I might ask someone at a bus stop what time it is, or make a comment about the weather, and try to follow up from there. If it peters out, or they think I'm a total weirdo, who cares? It's just some random person I'll never see again. Practicing in low-stakes situations like that really helped me start to build my confidence to the point where I feel pretty comfortable talking to anyone anywhere. The best remedy for this is to be able to laugh at yourself. If you truly feel your response is boring, then keep it brief and change the topic. Keeping things vague and not opening up can come across as rude, or you want to end the conversation. Pay attention to body language and social cues. For example, if you're deflecting attention and personalizing a conversation with your arms crossed, touching your face, or avoiding eye contact, people will pick up your discomfort and will get a hint that you want to stop the conversation. If you're fully attentive, leaning in with full eye contact, open or expressive arms, smiling or displaying appropriate compassionate facial reactions, it will help connect a bond. Sometimes just being there to listen is okay. Other times it can be refreshing to get thoughts out in the open or feelings off your chest. Yeah, people who are really outgoing just don't understand introverts with social anxiety like me sometimes. It's caused some problems in some friendships because they think I'm some kind of a recluse or something, but I honestly just can't help it. But friends that don't understand aren't really friends, to be honest. Story 7. Selling panties online. I've seen a couple of posts about how someone could exploit desperate dudes on Craigslist by buying women's panties, spritzing them with perfume, and then selling them online. It was so easy. Nowadays, buyers want to see photos of a real woman in the exact pair they'll be buying, or proof in the form of being Panty Trust certified. They'll want extras or special requests for their order, plenty of fetishes to go around, and the vast majority of them will drop off the face of the earth when it comes time to actually pay. You'll have to sift through hundreds of responses to your ad, knowing most of them will be time wasters just trying to get a little dirty talk or some photos. My advice? Don't bother. Leave it to the cam girls who make some side cash off selling their panties, because there's always going to be someone willing to go a step further than you, and they will be the one to make the sale. Craigslist used to make this easy. Some people didn't want to order online. They wanted you to take them off in front of them and hand it to them. You'd literally just meet them at the local Starbucks or whatever in a dress, and that was it. Now it's impossible because they shut down that part of the site. Made 15 quid doing this once. It was just too difficult, and to be honest, I couldn't be bothered with how much effort it is to find clients, chatting and making sure they are legit and not some cop or whatever. The whole deed of getting pictures of knickers, wearing said knickers, and postage/packaging. This is an occupation that only a woman could have. No woman is interested in some guy's sweaty, smelly, used tighty-whities. Story 8. Pretty much anything that a professional does. They make it look easy because it's their job. Throw a football 65 yards accurately? Pfft, simple, if you're an elite athlete. Cut open a chest cavity to fix a few coronary arteries? It's just another day at the office for a surgeon. Frame up a structural wall within a 2,000 square foot house? Just a bunch of wooden nails is all you need. Make crowded teeth perfectly aligned? Surely it's just a matter of wearing trays 1 through 55. Voila! It's all straight. In reality, each of these tasks takes someone who's trained for years to visualize the problem, solve it, and execute it to the T. It looks easy because they practice the hell out of it. You just summed up being a librarian. It's like people think that just obtaining that title means we morph into the human embodiment of Google, develop mind-reading abilities, and instantly memorize every book in our collection. Nope, we get master's degrees and then spend a ton of time practicing how to work out what the hell you're actually asking about so that we can find the book with crawdads. I can relate to this. I'm a cellist at Juilliard and I've been playing for more than 13 years. I feel like 2 months ago was when I finally got a basic grasp of how to use the bow, which is quite frankly the most fundamental aspect of string playing. When you look at a cellist or any string player using the bow, it seems like the most simple thing. It seems like all you have to do is just move the bow back and forth, but it's actually quite literally the most difficult thing to actually execute adequately of the entire technique. It's like wine glass singing on steroids. There are so many parameters that affect the sound, and so many small and big muscles involved. To get this metal string stretched over a box of delicate wood to vibrate totally naturally and unimpeded takes years of mental workout and experimentation. It's insane, really. Yeah, any type of musical instrument. Anyone who's any good can make it look so easy. But as soon as you pick one up yourself, nothing can make you feel more inadequate. Story 9. Programming. It's like Lego sets. Anyone can follow the instructions and make the Millennium Falcon. But it's a whole different ballgame when you're given a pile of assorted blocks and someone says, okay, now recreate the Taj Mahal, but the client wants it to look like Big Ben. It also needs to be able to interlock with the Sphinx, the Great Wall, the Eiffel Tower, and the Mojang Temple to create a super monument. Yes, I know the Mojang Temple hasn't been designed yet, just make some good guesses. We can add parts of it once we know what we need. Don't worry, much of the industry is set up for the Lego enthusiasts now. Taj Mahal? Easy, just use the Mahal framework and require the 20 palace libraries, plus the bell tower module that were all developed by skilled, unpaid open source hobbyists. Kind of glue them together. If they don't do exactly what you need, pretend it's impossible or too hard. Make it so it doesn't show the code has a huge technological debt until we're long gone. The client will be happy with the savings in time and budget that we can offer due to how little we pay you for this unskilled work. This is the head of my company, except all those monuments are all our own products, and instead of something vaguely sturdy like Lego bricks, they're made out of used tissue paper and Elmer's glue. 3 different languages, 3 different technologies. Some of the Bush Jr. administration that was painfully obsolete when the company was founded, all having to work together with one another and not shithouse an entire cities or multiple cities worth of smart grid tech. Oh, and our direction changes about twice a week with zero notice. The only upside is I'm a junior dev and I'm not asked to do much more than bug hunting and the occasional report update. When that company fails, it's gonna be fucking spectacular, and I'm buying the shit out of some popcorn. It takes a very special mind to do what you guys do, and my mind must be special in a different way because I can't do it. Story 10. Marriage. I think many people believe that they will be romantically in love with the person they are marrying. In many ways you do, but most with long successful marriages will tell you it takes work to make a marriage last a lifetime. That level of commitment is hard to maintain. The rewards are enormous and you'll never be closer to another human if you're doing it right. My wife and I just celebrated our 40th, and we've known each other for more than 45 years, planning on being together till the end. Everybody wants to talk about the happy times, the falling in love stuff, which is very important, but I kind of look at it a little different. You've got to be able to carry each other's baggage. We all have our own emotional stuff that we drag around with us from a lifetime of experiences. Can you pick each other up during the low moments? That's what makes a strong marriage. It's we and us, not you and me. The person you marry is going to be your best friend. They're going to be your roommate in some ways. Sometimes they're going to be a parent. They're going to be your lover, etc., etc. You've probably had a falling out with all of these people at some point. You've probably even cut a few off for being toxic or whatever. You can't do that with a marriage. With marriage, it's a lot harder just to leave. It's not just marriage and then you're done. Magically, you're going to get along forever. No, it's every single day that you've got to try. You're going to get into arguments, and you've got to compromise. Then, you've got to compromise for every single day of your life after that point. It's not a couple of hours or days, it's every single one. You've got to talk to this person every day, come up with interesting topics every day, think of new things to do when it comes to sex and holidays and the weekend, just to keep things fresh, because if you don't, the other person will get bored, or worse, you get bored. As the previous person said, the reward is well worth the effort if your partner is putting in the same amount of effort. But finding someone willing to put in the same amount of effort as you is hard. If the other puts in too less, then you're going to get frustrated. If they put in too much, then they're going to get frustrated. That is on top of someone you're going to gel with in every single way. And as someone else has mentioned, you've got to just hope that you don't change too much from when you got together. This sounds like a lot of doom and gloom. Well, it is. 50% of marriages fail, so you better make sure yours doesn't. Way too many people jump into marriages expecting the white picket fence, 2.5 kids, and dog right out the gate. Well, it doesn't work like that, and a lot of people these days don't have the patience to stick it out. Story 11. Writing a long story. I'm about to finish wrapping up my first ever seriously long form piece of writing. It's going to be about 160K all told. You may think to yourself, that's not too long, I can read a book that length in an afternoon, or I can knock that out in a month or two, just writing a couple thousand words a day. Or you just tell a story and it all leaps out fully formed. And you'd be wrong. Writing, as enjoyable as it can be for the author and the audience, is a lot of work you just don't see. Yeah, you see the finished product, but what you don't see are things like drafts, discarded scenes, variant writings, conversations with editors, free writing exercises, and all the just sheer ideas that come up and don't make it. I'd estimate I have easily spent more than 1 million words behind the scenes making this project happen. It sounds easy. You have a plot and you make it happen, starting at page 1 and go through to the back cover. A lot of my writing is somewhat out of order. Starting from page 1 is honestly a snooze fest and chore. I don't want to read the part of the fantasy story that's farm boy baling hay, and nobody really likes that part either unless they're a medievalist and the book goes full Tolkien about how that works. I have probably deleted 75% of all the words I've ever spawned for the product. Beyond spewing words, there's tone to mind, characters to track, continuity, foreshadowing, building, managing tension, avoiding forcing cliches or stupidity, making imagery, dialogue that's nice to read and also you can imagine being spoken, and this has to all be managed under a word count that's enough for your reader to get the point without boring them or wearing your fingers to nubs. Want to know how long it's taken me to write this thing? 2 fucking years. I've loved it, but hot damn, it was way harder than it looks when you just see the finished product and can just think, I sat down one day and made it all come to life without complication. Writing a novel-length piece of fiction is tough. I plan to do more, but I no longer have the idea that I'll be able to just pump out a piece every couple months like clockwork at a couple thousand words a day. I've been working on a book for like 12 years. I feel your pain. You realize all the characters are talking, so you have to redo that. You have to have correct motivations and earned plot moments. The plot has to flow. The rules you set up have to make sense. What really sticks out is the part about the farm boy baling hay. It is hard making yourself write the slower moving parts that are necessary but not exciting. Congrats on finishing, dude. I'm a writer as well. Published a few romance novels and a lot of erotica on Amazon and made some great beer money. I'm starting to dive into novels I actually want to write now. Horror. Writing is so much work, but I imagine you and I both know we've wanted to be writers since elementary school, and it's a good feeling to be confident in your desires. Find your routine and stick to it. If you write 750 words a day, easy, right? You've just written a 68,000 word novel in 3 months. Try to write at the same time every day. Try not to edit your work till the story is complete. Get it all out on the paper. Good luck. Wow, you are a horrible writer. That was painful to read. Writing is hard work. You have to approach it like it's a job, as in butt down in the seat at 8 a.m. and not up again until 5. Story 12. Science. There's a huge difference between being a scientist and being a fan of science. Both are important, but they aren't the same. A lot of people take a science class or start following a science-based Facebook or Twitter or subreddit and only see the successes. Science is a critical, thought-heavy endeavor that requires equal parts patience, smarts, and luck. As a researcher doing basic science, you're going to have greater than 90% negative data. For every scientific publication you see, there are months or even years of negative data behind it. The stuff that science fans and cheerleaders share on Facebook from pages like I Freaking Love Science is distilled from the frustrations and efforts of scientists that probably drink heavily. I tried to explain this to my family. They think that scientists do 3 things at all times. A. Work in the lab. B. Have eureka moments at lunch, and C. Celebrate their published work. I'm still in uni, but I already appreciate how much time goes into publishing research. Maybe I'll take my family along for a regular day as a nanotechnology student. I can't recall ever having a eureka moment. I've had plenty of, huh, that's odd, moments followed by, huh, it repeats, that's unexpected, moments. Families can be funny, especially when you start working on a PhD. My family never really understood the difference between undergrad and a PhD and assumed it was just more classes. When year 5 of my PhD rolled around and I was pulling my hair out, they'd ask, well, how many more classes do you need to take? When I started my postdoc, they were also curious about the course load. Surely there weren't that many classes in one subject. Yeah, I feel like so many people are hostile to science these days because they just don't understand what goes into it. Like if they did, do you think they would respect it more? Probably not. Story 13. Letting go. No, you won't just switch it off. You won't just stop it when you want. You won't stop craving it. You won't stop missing it. You'll always get yourself almost back to it because you've made a habit to do it so many times daily that your brain hardly ever registers when you're consciously with it. I'm sure you guys understand. It could be drugs. It could be a toxic relationship. It could be a hobby that you just can't see yourself not ever stop practicing because of how much joy it brings to you, like gaming or handicrafts or even your very job. But you must stop it because of other more important and more immediate reasons. It hardly matters what it is about, and yet switching it off of your life will always be hard. If you must let it go against all odds, against your own wishes, then be strong. You'll probably never be prepared for it, no matter how much you steel yourself. But you can hang on. The inclusion of letting go of a hobby seems kind of unhealthy to me. I think if it weren't for my hobby, making music for the past 10 years, I would have very well never made a single friend and probably killed myself in my teen years. I really think that I found joy in life after my struggles with abusive people and addiction only because of being able to seclude myself with my musical instruments, books, and video games. Not sure what you've been through or what you're going through, but I really hope that you're okay. Personally, I would not be okay if it weren't for the hobbies that I had. Sometimes it helps to find hobbies to distract yourself from things, but sometimes that becomes part of the problem. You have to find the line. Story 14. Being a good dad. Crap is tough. I have an 18-month-old daughter and my wife is expecting. I get up for work and 12 hours later I'm back at home, and almost as soon as I walk through the door, I'm on dad duty. Trying to entertain my daughter, give my wife some time to relax, sort out dinner, clean the house. All these things need to be done, and time to do them doesn't exist. Then there's time to exercise, which I haven't, spend quality time with the wife, and then hobbies. I'm a gamer. It's a thankless job at times, but man, if my daughter's hugs don't just melt me every time, the real heroes are the single parents and those with kids with disabilities. You have strength beyond comprehension. Single mom here, this made me tear up a little. Spend quality time with the wife. Word of advice: We did this all the way through our marriage until our eldest hit 11 and a half and didn't start going to bed until 9:30 with repeated excursions out of the bedroom for toilet, heat pack, etc. Until midnight, make time for quality time. Communication will drop and things will drift if you don't. It's a beautiful thing, but once you realize you have a kid, it's not all about you anymore. No more gaming for the next several years, friendo. Story 15. Retail work. Any customer service-based job sucks, but I think retail tops it. Most McDonald's at least have a good amount of staff for rush hour, in my experience, whereas in retail you still regularly go through the busiest times with nowhere near enough staff. You also have to put up with BS all the time. Lori turns up 4 hours early with the delivery, tills crash during a busy time, you waste 10 minutes explaining to someone why the deal on last week is not on this week, the weekly deal, etc. What do you mean you want me to keep the tags on? So you want all the alarms in the shop to go on and for you to have to damage the product to get it off? I'm telling you the button is not working. Here, let me show you clearly pressing the button marked specific coupon and it's not working. How is it my fault? I'm a history student, not an engineer. No, there is not an override. I cannot scan your points card and give you points after you paid. There is now nothing on the system and it says next customer please. The customer is not always right, and people that say that should go work Christmas in retail. Then try saying that. Mini rant over, but there is plenty more. Edit. I want to clarify this as many people in the comments were unhappy with the McDonald's part. I stand by what I said. It is from the experience I have had and what many of my friends that have worked there have fed back to me. Ones that have done both said retail was also worse to me. This is my opinion. It may be different in your area or it may not, but this is what it's like in my area. I think it really depends on where and who you work for. I do retail and it can get tough. It's not too bad. I'm not a manager. I would not want that kind of stress. I work hard unpacking, recovering, putting stuff on shelves, unloading on truck day. Our store is falling apart and our assistant manager is overworked and underpaid and we're constantly behind in our tasks. The manager has been absent by her doctor's orders because she had a heart attack in March and she's only in her 30s. Every week, we get a manager from another store to help or a key holder who eats our hours and often doesn't do anything, making us even further behind. We have few employees, and a few of them are way too slow at everything, forcing others to pick up the slack. It's not easy, but I know what I have to do every shift. I help out where I can. The assistant manager knows I'm reliable and can get things done. The customers are mostly nice, and I see the same ones all the time. Luckily, I don't deal with annoying customers all that often. I feel like it could be so much. It seems like it really depends on if you work for someone that treats you like a person or treats you like an idiot. The boss and staff make all the difference. I like the people I work with. I like most of the customers. To me, that makes the job so much more bearable. All the Karen, Susan, Linda types should be mandated to work retail during Christmas. Worked both retail register and return. No, you cannot return a movie because you didn't like it. No, you cannot exchange it for one you think that you'll like better. Sorry, but you didn't buy the protection plan and little Johnny smashing it isn't a defect. Compassion and common sense. Ugh. And yes, you can talk to my manager. And yes, they will tell you the same thing. You being a jerk isn't going to ruin my day. I have more self-esteem than that. Sorry, Karen. Story 16. Being a server. I worked in many different front-of-the-house positions in restaurants and bars, including GMing and running cocktail programs. Holy crap, without the bar to protect you from the herd, you're just hanging in the open trying to get a rhythm that will cover the most ground and give the most service. I've never made it to a serving shift without forgetting to enter in an important part of an order. Bartending is all about managing interactions. Serving is about getting treated like your name is Boy and trying to balance the needs of your customers with the amount of them and the throughput of the kitchen that you do not have up-to-the-minute information on. You take a beating on your psyche and ego if you're not cut out for it. A sociopath would make for an excellent server. They play the part and feel nothing. You see a lot of servers who clearly are not cut out for it. You see this in the person that does not stop whining at the restaurant. They need to vent their emotional load onto other employees and get their unsavory interactions off their chest, thereby contaminating the workforce with anxiety and chaos. It never made sense to me. I always thought, no crap that happened, you're a server, but they're everywhere. What keeps these people around is, like everyone else, they need money. I've met many who are much older and will likely be a server for much longer. You know, servers in their 40s. God bless them. It can be great money. The money you can make at super fancy-ass restaurants transcends being a job and becomes a career. I wonder what the rate of sociopathy is at that level. I was a server for 7 years at multiple restaurants until I recently quit a month or so ago. The first few years, I was full of positivity and energy and rarely took it personally when a guest was rude or unpleasant. But last year, I just started to break, and this year I realized I was becoming exactly that person you speak of. I couldn't stop complaining. I was annoyed at every needy guest and felt so disrespected constantly by both the guests and management. I couldn't take it. It was killing my mental health and making me start to hate people as a whole, and I never thought I'd end up being that person. I'm just glad I got out of it when I realized I wasn't cut out for it anymore. That crap changes you after a while. Maybe you really do have to be some level of sociopath to stick with it for years and years and not feel a thing. And that, my friends, is how customers get the chef's yellow plate special. Thanks for watching and/or listening all the way to the end. If you have a similar story that you would like to share, please leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. For more videos like this one right now, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.